Hello, everyone. Welcome to week 6.
It's week 6.
It's flying by, man. It seemed like it was just week 1,
I know.
but we're in week 6 of the Don't Ask Me Why podcast, getting the damn W with Reggie and Roger. Say hi, Roger.
Hi. How are you doing, folks?
Thank you. Thank you for that wholesome hi.
Yeah.
Go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on IG, both at the Don't Ask Me Why podcast. And again, I know folks consume podcasts differently. So we do have an audio only version, and that's via Spotify, Google Podcasts, and all your major podcast mediums as well. We got an action-packed show today.
Boy, do we.
And let's first just kind of start off with a review of our picks. We had an old so-so kind of week.
It was a winning week, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, 3-2-1.
Yeah.
You know, that's a tie on the Houston game.
Right.
Houston and, what was that, Atlanta?
Yeah, Houston was getting 2 points. Yeah.
Yeah. So that brings us to 11-6-1.
That's what I got.
11-6-1. We're still tracking. We're still looking good.
Better than a poke in the eye with a sharp stick.
I don't even want to imagine that. Let's go ahead and get things kicked off. Again, another solid weekend of football. Another week of the Jaguars in London. I think I heard that they're petitioning Goodell to stay in London.
Yeah,
because they play like world beaters while over in the UK. What do you think about their most recent performances in a pretty convincing win against Buffalo?
I would have loved to have been on the Jaguars team, flying back from London after 2 weeks with 2 wins under the belt. You imagine that? You think there were any drinks on that plane, or
absolutely,
a lot of happiness and joy, and that's why I think that they are going to have a good rest of the year, and I expect them to win that division. Although the game that they have coming up this week against the Colts, that's a big game.
Absolutely, 2
really good teams there. The Colts have a new, revived running game or whatever, but they're minus their quarterback, who, as you mentioned to me, Reggie, when we were talking earlier this week, he seems to be a little bit injury prone, so we hope that the mustache can keep him going if you're an Indy fan.
Yeah. I do like what the Jags are doing momentum wise. And again, I was kidding as far as just their play in London, but they seem like a different team in London, and hopefully they can bring that magic back to the States here and see if they can get that damn W against the Colts, which I think would be a winnable game for Trevor and the gang.
But now for the Colts, since you just touched on that game, that almost looks like a 2-headed monster in that backfield, right? With Taylor and Moss. That was Jonathan Taylor's first game back, right? So
we'll definitely talk to that point a little later. I there's some good tidbits in terms of just the role of a running back and how it's going to fit between Zach Moss and Jonathan Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've pretty much ad nauseum have gone over how over the past few weeks the Giants and Vikings have pretty much dug a hole that may be too deep for them to climb out of.
I think so, yeah.
I'll throw the Pats in there as well. I mean, I don't think the expectations were as high for the Patriots, but a Bill Belichick coach team, there's always a level of set expectations. And we're so used to not necessarily greatness all the time, but at least being above average. Defensively, they're solid, but they're looking bad. They've scored a total of 3 points over the past couple of weeks. So I lumped them in with the Vikings and the Giants, and it really is looking bleak for especially 2 of those teams who were playoff contenders last year.
100%, Reg. I mean, you might recall that a couple of weeks ago, or even week 1, we had a segment where we talked about quarterbacks that we thought would be pulled or demoted first this year. And I said unequivocally, I said, Mac Jones, he's not an NFL quarterback. He's from the Alabama school of drop back and have 6 or 7 seconds to hit a jet speed wide receiver 50 yards down the field. And you can't do that in the NFL. He's been exposed, overexposed in terms of his deficiencies to be an NFL quarterback. And yet, despite the past 2-3 weeks where he has been horrific, Bill Belichick says he stays our number one. He stays our number one quarterback. And I can't imagine how Belichick comes up with that response.
Belichick has earned the right to be stubborn, but at a certain point, it becomes insanity. And so I never saw anything in Mac Jones. I mean, from day one,
Right.
I had never thought that he would be any kind of successor to Tom Brady, let alone anyone who's a qualified starting QB in the league.
Yeah, me neither.
Speaking of QBs, you know, I'm a homer, Chicago homer. I think
really,
I think Justin Fields, his stock is looking up over the past couple of weeks. So that's encouraging. So I'm kind of on the fence as far as the future. No, 2 games. Let's not count just the win, but the game against Denver, he threw for, I want to say, 4 touchdowns in that game.
Yeah.
So over 300 yards in passing. So I think there is something to the robotic, feeling comfortable statement that he made that caught so much press that week. I want to say that was week 3 where that whole thing almost imploded. So I like what he's been doing lately.
Mention it to the folks watching us because they're not all Chicago fans. They may not have, heard that or might not know about it. So what was that whole blow up about?
It was perceived that he threw the offensive coordinator and the head coach under the bus by saying that maybe it's the play calling.
Mm-hmm.
He said that verbatim. A couple hours later, he got in front of the press and wanted to clarify that statement. So since then, and since that Kansas City game, he's been playing to the level that a lot of us have expected him to play to. So again, like you said, I'm hedging a little. It's been 2 weeks, but it's encouraging what I'm seeing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
On the flip side, Dak, he's caught a lot of hell. And really, when you wear the star, you're going to be scrutinized and critiqued quite often. And to be fair, I think the 49ers are going to make anyone look pretty pedestrian nowadays. I think his stock may be going downward. What do you think?
I agree 100%. If you want to be a top team with an opportunity to go to the promised land, the Super Bowl, then you can't have these bad week, good week, bad week, good week type of situations, which is what they've been doing. I think that the 49ers really are the top of the heap, and that San Francisco Philly game coming up, not this week, but next week, right?
Week 13.
They don't play before that?
No.
That's going to be beautiful because
absolutely.
It's going to have a lot to do with seeding. It's going to have a lot to do with home field advantage if the two end up in the NFC Championship game. And there's a lot of things to happen between now and week 13. You could have major injuries, whatever, that could affect everything. But if everything stays on the same keel that it's on now, then boy, I look for that to be a great game. And those are the 2 teams that I have, just like last year, going to the NFC Championship.
Just imagine them both being undefeated still. That would be awesome. And as far as the Cowboys and Dak,
undefeated though, would they? I mean, Philadelphia is the only undefeated team right now.
No. 49ers are undefeated.
Are they really?
Both are 5-0.
Okay.
Yeah, both are 5-0. So, and I know that the gift and the curse of being the Cowboys is that you are the Cowboys and you're going to get unwanted and unnecessary attention, and you're going to be primetime quite a bit. So they're going to be primetime again Monday night against the Chargers. And if they lose that game, I don't care if it's a close game. It's going to be a lot more of these pundits who love to keep the Cowboys in their name, dragging Dak, dragging that entire squad. So we'll see. That'll be a good win for them if they can go to SoFi or wherever the Chargers play and get a victory there. As far as this time of year, we're about 33%, a third through the year right now. This is probably a good time for a lot of these teams to start making runs. I know you've been on the Cincy bandwagon from day one. Their next three opponents, they got Seattle at home, at San Fran, and Buffalo at home. So I think if they get through this stretch unscathed, I think they're officially back. What do you think?
I agree. This is a team, remember, with the same key players, Burrow, Chase, T. Higgins, and others, Mixon, that were in the Super Bowl 2 years ago and nearly won it. And they're not afraid of anybody. So when you look at the fact that they're one game under 500 now and chance to get back, I think that they'll win this week and they'll get back to 500, and they might even be tied for the division lead at that point. Part of the reason for their delay in getting to this point is that Burrow was hurt, and we know that he's the straw that stirs the drink. So they're not afraid of anybody, and they're playing at home this week. I love Seattle, but as a team, I love Pete Carroll, a lot of their players, but Cincinnati, I think, is going to really kick it into high gear and get to 3-3 and keep going up. I think they'll be competitive against whoever they play, San Francisco, Buffalo, whatever. I see them going 2-1 at worst the next three games.
Yeah, if they go 2-1, they're in good position, especially with that lineup over the next 3 weeks. Chargers, I think the Chargers are another team where they're 2-2.
Yep.
They're coming off a bye. They're on a 2-game win streak. It's not official until it's 3 games per Major League. Their next 3 opponents, we spoke about the Dallas matchup on Monday night at Kansas City. And again, the AFC West, in my opinion, is a winnable division for the Chargers. And then they play my Bears at home. So I really see them going on a potential stretch of separating themselves in the AFC West. Any thoughts on the Chargers?
I kind of feel like they can be a dangerous team going down this stretch. I would be surprised if they don't continue on an upward trend from here.
Yeah. And I like Seattle and their next 3 games. If they can get past Cincinnati in Cincy, and then after that, that'd be huge. And then they have Arizona and Cleveland at home. So I really think they could, separate themselves, come out of that stretch
2-1,
5-2, 6-1 at the end of it. That would be pretty good for Pete Carroll and the boys up there in the Northwest. So I really like Seattle as one of those teams also who are about to get on the road potentially. So one of the things, unfortunately, it's a reality in the league is injuries. And what we're noticing is, some of the struggling teams, we've already talked about the Giants in Minnesota. Players are inactive. Players are on the IR. Are they protecting trade value? So now it's a little gamesmanship. It's some maneuvering that teams are doing. Justin Jefferson is on the IR, and it's a hamstring, and it may be justified, but now we're hearing trade talks and rumors floating with the Vikings doing so bad and him being and measuring his happiness. So what are your thoughts on that? With mainly the Vikings and the Giants as well, I think, with Barkley.
Yeah. Well, it happens every year in the NFL, right? Once you get to a certain crossing point, where it's like in every sport, like baseball, when they get to the trade deadlines, like halfway through a major league season, and they're like, are we going to try to grab players to try to make a push down the stretch, or we're going to get rid of players and try to build for next year? It happens every year. And so this year is no different. I think that Minnesota is a poster child for the whole topic, from the standpoint that Cousins, why don't you dump him at this point and see if
Yeah.
anybody wants to give you some good draft choices or picks or whatever? Because that Jefferson, his big target, is out for the next 4 weeks. So, and they're already 1-4.
I guarantee you that if they finish the season as a top 5, top 10 draft pick, they will be selecting a quarterback. I can almost guarantee that. But real quick, I want to revisit the Colts situation with Jonathan Taylor coming back from injury with the new contract. So I celebrate that. So when I saw that 3 years, 42 million, 26 million guaranteed, I was like, awesome. He deserves that. Running backs deserve compensation for that short window that they get. And then the same week he comes back, Zach Moss turns into damn
Barry Sanders.
Barry Sanders mixed with Walter Payton and Earl Campbell, and just went crazy out there.
Yeah.
So, does Zach Moss make him expendable now, or does Zach Moss himself become a trade chip? So I thought that was fascinating when I saw that.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think it does make him a trading chip, and only because the fact that most teams these days, the way they value skill players, are not going to pay 2 running backs top dollar, right?
Yeah.
They're just not going to do it. They're going to feel like whoever their second running back is getting less carries, they'll be able to find somebody, as a free agent or out of college, that they can plug into that position to get like maybe 10 carries a game. But the idea of having 2 running backs upper echelon that are going to run like 20 times a game, not in today's NFL. Not going to happen. So, so one of those is going to go, and I think it's going to be Jonathan Taylor, because I think that they can get a ton for him. The only issue there is our team's going to shy away because of the fact that before the season started, he was kind of, put forth that idea of like, nah, I want to be traded. I don't want to play here.
Well, to be fair, Irsay wasn't necessarily endearing to him in some of the comments that he made with the other contract holdouts with Jacobs and Barkley. And so I think Jonathan Taylor was an innocent bystander, and Irsay threw his 2 cents out, saying pretty much, he gets what he gets. So Jonathan Taylor pretty much kind of stood up for himself, for lack of better terms.
I was going to say, if you look at Irsay's ingredients that make him up, I would say 20% of that is crazy out of 100%.
I thought you were going to say 20% is like whiskey.
There could be a significant BAC content there.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on to coaches on the hot seat. Let's just limit this to one. Who do you think is who has the hottest seat right now at this point in the season? I'm going to go first. I'm going to shock some people. I think Dayball, I think his seat is on fire. Is like lit. I mean, like he can barely sit down. It's so hot. Because that, like I said last week, 9-7-1, you're coach of the year. Your team is totally off the rails right now. I really see the pressure getting to the Maher family. The fan base is going to turn against them. I think they're already doing it. Daniel Jones isn't helping his cause. Barkley, injured, not injured. I think there are a lot of things that are going in the wrong direction. So I really think he may be the person, the sacrifice that needs to be made in order to kind of change the tune for the Giants, albeit being 1 year removed from coach of the year. Who's your guy?
I disagree only because of the fact that he was coach of the year last year. And it would be almost diabolical or like Jekyll and Hyde. If you went from having coach of the year and giving him full support and accolades to firing him the next year. So
It's
that's
happened though.
it has happened, but and the only venue that I think that it could happen in is New York, because New York is a different animal than other NFL cities. My pick for hottest seat in the NFL is Ron Rivera.
Oh.
He hasn't had a winning season in 7 years. Wouldn't have even had any winning seasons if not for Cam Newton in Carolina. And he is a defensive coordinator. That's what he is. I live in the DMV, so I hear the whole scuttlebutt every day. And Rivera is on the hot seat, especially, and his defensive coordinator, because Del Rio, because of the fact that they have new ownership now, and new ownerships are prone to bringing in their own new people. They're not going to put up with, having a bunch of talent on their team as they do now, minus maybe the quarterback who's still kind of getting his chops. They're not going to put up with Rivera for another losing season. If they go like 6-10, he is gone, and maybe before that.
And I agree with that. I'm not sure when. I'm not sure during the season, because they're not out technically at this point. But I do agree with the sentiment that new ownership comes in. They want their people in there.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely believe that, because I think, like you said, over the past 6 years up there in DC, he's been on a perpetual warm to hot seat throughout the entire time. So with new ownership, I do think that switch may be flipped. So that's a good call. Oh, Riverboat Ron potentially may crap out.
And it seems like 6 years in DC, but it's actually only 4.
It seemed like an eternity, but
no winning record in the last 7 years as a head coach. That doesn't work.
Well, let's look at some of the some of the matchups we got coming up. We've already touched on the Indy and Jacksonville. I think we feel strongly about the Jags in that matchup. Dallas and Chargers. It's a lot at stake there for Dallas. The Chargers can separate themselves and pretty much let Kansas City know we're here for the remainder of for the duration of the season. The Seattle, Cincinnati, we touched on that as well. The Eagles at the Jets. The Jets are playing really tough. They're like what Arizona has been up to this point. In spite the huge loss of Aaron Rodgers, I really like their grit. I like their defense. I like their coach. I know you're a big fan of the coach, but again, I think that's a game that's worth watching in New York. And the Eagles seem to be catching their stride, but I'd be careful. What are some of your thoughts about some of these matchups?
First of all, I wouldn't play that game as a bettor. That's not going to be one of my parlays this week. I'm staying away from that. I think that the Jets can probably cover because at home and with some defensive tenacity, but you got to be able to stop Jalen Hurts running the football. He's a machine, and if he gets a sliver of daylight, he's gone, and it's 15 or 20 yards every time. Yeah, I'm staying away from that one with 10-foot pole.
What we're going to do, and our viewers also, we should do the drinking game with the Eagles, and however, for every time they do the brotherly shove or the tush push, we take a shot. Okay,
I like it.
Okay, so I'm gonna hold you all to that. Okay,
yeah, I'm doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. I need folks passing out, if that's the case. So absolutely. So let's move on. We have some fan mail real quick. We got Julio from St. Louis. He was real quick. He said, "Hey guys, do you think Bryce Young is a bust?"
I don't think he's a bust at all. I think he's still probably going to be a very good quarterback in the league. Looking back in history of NFL rookies who started in the first year, I always talk to people about when Troy Aikman was drafted by the Cowboys, and in their first year, I think it was like 1989 or something like that.
Yep.
They had Emmitt Smith too.
Yep.
And they went 1-15. I don't like a lot of people say, they don't like the idea of rookies starting in their first year. Some people are big proponents of that. They're like, throw them into the fire. They're never going to learn, on the sidelines. You got to throw them in there. It works for some. It doesn't work for others. But if you're going to get thrown into the fire in year one, game one, or early in the season, you better have a supporting cast. You got to have a supporting cast. He has none. He doesn't have that.
He certainly needs wide receivers. He definitely needs wide receivers. Adam Thielen in his 9th or 10th year can't be your go-to guy.
No.
They got Miles Sanders. He's a good piece. I got what I'm starting to see from him in these first few weeks is I don't see a lot of confidence. And one of the things you pointed out about as far as Alabama quarterbacks, I'm like, okay, man, this combination, I'm not sure. And then you add on looking at our guy CJ Stroud, what he's doing in Houston, and even Anthony Richardson, when he does play, you see flashes of, okay, he's going to be okay. With Bryce Young, it's early. Granted, it's early, but woo, boy, I
don't see him as a bust in any way.
Right.
I think he's too talented, and he'll get it at some point, and he'll be a good, if not great, quarterback years down the road.
Right, Julio, we appreciate it, but hopefully we didn't we're on the fence too much. But I think his best days and best years have yet to come. So be patient. I think he'll be okay. But we need to see something pretty soon, I think. So this leads us to our guest this week. We've been talking about this guest for quite some time. The lovely Miss Priscilla is joining us today. Round of applause.
I appreciate the invite, Raj and Raj. It needs to be Raj and Raj.
The alliteration.
And it wasn't just us applauding. It's everybody that is going to be watching. They'll be applauding.
Right.
So, full disclosure, I've been good friends with Priscilla for a number of years. I thought that she would be a great person to bring on to talk about the connection between football, in our case specifically NFL football, and the dating world. Priscilla was interviewed by Washingtonian magazine a few years ago, and she talked about the dating world, and as it related specifically to women who own dogs like Priscilla does. So that was the topic then. So I thought, let's bring her on and have her talk a little bit about, because I know she's dated guys, and gone to many dates that had to do with going to sporting events, and like football games, I guess baseball a lot, and maybe soccer. I don't know. But so how do you look at dating and football, whether it's going to football games or even, sports bars during football season when there's a lot of football games on?
So first off, I live in DC. Roger and I met, for a decade through work. We're both, I'm in tech, and we've kept in touch over the years. And so I appreciate you inviting me and everything, all things football here, because I'm learning a lot, and I might start a side hustle on some sports betting to just gain some passive income in this downturned economy and high interest rates of supplemental homes. Being said, dating in sports, first date for the girls and boys out there, it's subjective and ambiguous, but if you invite a girl to a sporting event on a first date, you're in for the long haul. There's a lot of variables that go into this on both sides, from my interpretation. You got to take the right girl. Well, first of all, we have to say yes. Second, if she drinks champagne, vodka, liquor, you don't want to have to carry her up the stairs or around. It can get stranger danger at those football games. Secondly, It's cold out there in the end zone. She's got to know that she needs to dress appropriately. I went to the Steelers game, December. We were bouncing between the suite and the end zone. What can a girl say? She likes some good seats, but I was prepared. I was aesthetically pleasing, but I had some thermal undies under my jeans, coat, gloves, hat, because no man wants to be watching a game with a complainer, no matter how wonderful she is. Right?
Amen.
A game or anything else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You gotta wear the merch. You gotta represent, right? You gotta be on the same team. If we're going to a 49ers game, my company's based out of San Francisco against the Commanders, and you're a Commanders fan with Reggie, we gotta be on the same squad. We gotta represent, because it can get, I have some Eagles fans, some Steelers fans, guy friends. It can get pretty dicey. Also, another rule, don't bring a pregnant lady. My sister is a beautiful woman. She was 8 months pregnant, and we went to the Steelers-Ravens game. Great seats. No one knew she was pregnant from behind, but people will punch over each other over a game. It gets pretty dicey. The fans are passionate.
Yeah.
Which I love.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, it's funny, real quick. So the first date idea, you know, that I've been out of the dating game for 20 plus years. I'm happily married and everything, but just from an observation standpoint, that first date seems pretty important. And so if you're inviting someone, a lovely lady, on a first date to a NFL game, is there an amount of pressure to where you feel obligated to say yes because they're inviting you to such an event, not necessarily a movie and a dinner at the local restaurant?
Well, I kind of think it's superficial, opportunistic for a woman to say yes if she doesn't have genuine intention. He might be a little bit over his skis, which is fine. However, I think it's a good second, third, fourth, fifth, because on both sides, there's many a downside to it. So with that being said, pressure, you know what I've said before, you know, I really appreciate the invite, but you should take someone that wants to go with you, not to be on the gram. I'm not on any social media, but if my boy's got good seats, girls are they going with you? Or are they going to be team? People are shameless.
Reggie's question was kind of like where I was going to go too. It was the same thing. It was like, you know, football game, you know, asking a girl to a football game like an NFL game, you know, is that a good day one, day two, day three, or whatever? And I think that, I think to your answer, it's kind of a good maybe second or third date, you know, like, you know, after you have some real chemistry going there.
But I might want to flex.
Second date chemistry, I don't know about that, but we'll see. It's subjective and ambiguous, Raj.
Yeah, right. I'm still learning.
I might want to flex and, like, you know, let you know off bat, hey, I got paper. You know, I can take you to nice places. So out the gate, we're going, you know, great seats, 50-yard line. You know, I think that there's a tricking element to that. But, you know, I can imagine some people are doing that nowadays, especially with social media and being on the gram and, you know, look where I'm sitting, selfies and all that. So I thought it'd be interesting to, you know, kind of get your take on that.
No, I mean, it's a short game or a long game. Do you want to crash and burn, or do you want sustainability? You know, and at what expense? Like, who doesn't want to have a good time and go to a game? And then there's the trophy piece, you know, who doesn't, a man is only as good as the woman he's with. So it's a superficial game, right? You know, I go for business a lot because I'm in a male-dominated industry in tech, and albeit men prefer sports. So know the fundamentals of the game, or if you don't, men love to teach. So ask, don't talk during the movie or the play, but while you're heading there, like, all right, what are the picks? Help me understand. coin toss. Where are we starting? Spread. Know your brand.
Yeah.
And that's important because it's annoying if they're in the thick of the game. I call it music on in the background of a business meeting. And what that is good seats at a game.
Right. And it kills me when I'm watching a game on TV, baseball, football, otherwise, and I see people in the background, like in the stands, and either the guy or the girl, whatever, and they're on their phone the whole time. And it's like, dude, why did you even come here? This is the event. This is what we're here for. Don't be on your phone 100% of the time texting people. That's just a pet peeve. As far as other sports, though, like, again, going on dates to like football games, baseball games, basketball, whatever, is there really any different perspective from your point of view on how you would view going to any of those any different than you would going to a football game as opposed to a basketball game?
Again, the second I get in the shower, my date starts, because men are visual predominantly. And if you're picking me up at 7 or I'm meeting you somewhere, my date starts at 6. So what's the ease of getting there? FedEx Field in DC is way different than jumping over to the Nats because I'm in Northeast DC. That's a variable, right? Make it easy for us. Be thoughtful in your approach.
Great feedback. And this has already turned out to be a fantastic segment. And we still haven't talked about the big news of the year and NFL dating, with Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift.
Perception and reality. This is going to bring all the girls to the yard.
That was my first question, Priscilla, is like, do you think that it really moves the needle in terms of bringing a lot more women into the fandom of NFL football? Do you think it really makes that big of a difference?
Everyone wants to follow a leader. If she can get a, professional athlete, why can't we? Again, perception, reality, everyone has their gap. You're only as good as your best option, right? Just like sports, trades, football. It's the same thing with women and men. So girls are going to want to go. They might want to steal her lunch or try.
I mean, but as far as the game itself is concerned, do you think that it spurs more women on to learn about the game itself, NFL football? I remember like in the first week when it was a big deal with her and Travis Kelce, there were things posted on Instagram, a lot of things about, basics of football. Like, you get 4 downs, you get 10 yards, you get a first down, that type of thing, sort of a tutorial for women that were trying to get acclimated to the game. So that was kind of where it was headed with that. Do you think it's really going to bring more women into being fans of the game, or do you think it's just all about like,
Roger, I remember a guy took me to a game a long time ago and he said, "Where are we? Where do we start?" And I said, "Huh?" And he said, "The coin toss." And I said, "We were on the escalator at FedEx Field." And I said, "That's a good start." He didn't like me any less because you guys have this camaraderie. My sister, on the other hand, though, if she was on this, she should be a guest. She reads the sports section every day and knows everything and loves sports betting. We call her Sporty Spice. We have a very similar aesthetic. I'm in tech. She is a stay-at-home mom, and she is into sports. She could give you two a run for your money.
We got the Spice Girls on, Reg.
Yeah. Victoria Beckham is in fashion, and switch over to soccer. David didn't fall for her because of her football knowledge.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Well put.
Yeah. I'm sure he fell for her because of her singing abilities.
Exactly.
Right. Or maybe not.
Exactly.
So, Reg, anything else on top of mind that you wanted to ask Priscilla before? She's done a fantastic addition to this.
Absolutely. We greatly appreciate it. I think before we let you go, I have one question. This is a crazy question, but it's an important question. If you're stranded on the desert, what's one movie, one album, and one outfit that you would have to have with you?
One movie.
And a VCR so you could watch it, or a DVD player.
Jerry Maguire
Okay, okay,
or Moneyball.
okay, okay.
Outfit, a hoodie and joggers, because I can always dress down. Like, not got to be comfortable. I got one
Okay.
outfit.
But this is in the desert, though, Reggie.
It is. She's gonna sweat it out.
I was in Morocco. I rode camels in the desert. It gets breezy.
There you go. There you go.
That's a good
What
point. Okay.
desert? And he didn't quantify.
Mm.
Yeah, that's
What
true.
was the other one? Movie.
Music album.
Rolling Stones.
Can't miss with.
Gas can't miss. Yeah.
The class.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
You know, Reggie, what I don't know Reggie as well, but let me tell you something. I have some range. So, you know, joggers, hoodie. You can always, if it gets too hot, you know. And then we got Rolling Stones and, you know, Jerry Maguire. I always tell my friends out there that date someone with a child, you got to love that kid more than you love them, or just as much. Because family's important.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. Someone show her the money.
Hey, I'm a finance background. I'm a
the money.
stock and fundamentals. Roger and I go around and around on that for hours. But
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I really appreciate it. This was I got to start getting involved and spreading the love on this, because, like I said, if I get an extra surplus of $10,000 a year annually, this is going to make me a little bit extra coin to pay for the dog food.
We'll get there, and something tells me that we will be loving to have you back, like in the weeks to come before the end of the year, if you're willing.
Absolutely. We got to get my sister on here, because she will go to bat on the fundamentals of the games.
Yeah.
Without my expertise, I'm over my skis and I know my limitations.
Yeah, you can come visit the studio here sometime.
Hey, I mean, Raj and the girls. Why not?
That's right. Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah,
sounds
it's
like a
another-
party.
It sounds like a spinoff, a spinoff podcast.
You guys could maybe be suited up in 5 years and have a whole team.
Hey,
Who knows? Who knows?
Hey.
Who
from
knows?
your lips to God's ears.
That's right. Yeah.
Priscilla, we appreciate it. We really do. And we look forward to having you or your sister or both in the upcoming week. So we really do appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks all. Enjoy your evening.
See you, Priscilla.
That was fun.
That was a great segment. So glad that she came on, and I thought she had a lot of insight,
Absolutely.
that we weren't even expecting. So
She sounds like a pro in the realm of the nightlife and just being able to assess and dissect and really she seems very professional when it comes to that.
I'm
So
good friends.
I love
I'm
that.
good friends with her for many, many years, and she's all of that you just said. So
Awesome.
yeah, we got picks, right?
Yep. So let's go ahead and get our pick six, our 6 picks for this week. We had a solid week last week. Overall, like I said, we're 11-6-1. So I'm gonna kick it off. I always got to have an over under, and I can't find the gumption to go under. I always got to go over. So I like the Saints and Texans over 42.5. That's really dicey, but I really think this is going to be a high scoring affair between the two. I just have that feeling.
42.5. Ooh, yeah, that does look good. Yeah, I like that.
It's a higher number, but I think with Carr and Kamara, looks like he's getting more active.
Yes.
I see that. Exceeding the 42.5. I also like the Lions minus 3.5 in Tampa. So I love the Lions. I think that's it's always a statement game every week. This is their statement game. Tampa's fresh off of a bye. I think the Lions will go down there, clean things up in Tampa. Later points, minus 3.5, Lions over Tampa. And then finally, I like the Raiders minus 3 at home against the traveling dumpster fire being the New England Patriots. So I like the grit. McDaniel, I would say this is sort of like a get back revenge game, but I don't know what he's avenging because I think he owes Belichick a lot for his longevity in NFL.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is more of a mano y mano. I think the Raiders are just a better team. Garoppolo, former Patriot. So I think there's a lot of synergies there, but I do like the Raiders -3 to take it against New England in Allegiant Stadium. To you, Raj.
Yeah, I like all those, Reg. I'll go because of reasons that I've stated in the last 2 or 3 weeks. I like Cincinnati. I think that they're on the upswing, and to me, the key was Burrow getting back to health. And now I think that he's shown that he's back to health, and he has the same weapons. T. Higgins is coming back this week, and I like them at home. I think that they're going to really start to flex their muscles a little bit, and I love Seattle, from earlier picks, but I think that Cincinnati is just going to be a little bit too much on point this week and cover that. San Francisco at Cleveland. Yeah, San Francisco, give me them -4.5. I'll ride that horse, for as long as it takes me. So I'll keep betting San Francisco until they stumble badly, and then maybe I'll have second thoughts going into the next week. But I think that they're easily a touchdown better than Cleveland in my mind. And again, remember, that's Cleveland minus Nick Chubb, right? So you're taking one of the best players in the league out of the equation. And I don't care if they're playing in, Cleveland, San Francisco, London, wherever. And then my third pick, I think, is an easy play. It goes right back to what I said last week. My overall tenet when it comes to betting on the NFL is I'll always bet on good teams. I'm not gonna play games and bet on games that are, a 2-4 against a 1-5. I don't have, that's BS. Those teams have the records that they have because of how badly they've played up to this point. And to bet on one because, they won last week and they're on the turnaround. You'd be tempted in that case maybe to play Chicago, but I do not play games like that. I stick with, I got San Francisco over Cleveland -4.5, and I love the fast running, full speed Miami Dolphins easily to cover 14 against Carolina.
Okay.
Who's yet to show anything. So those are my 3 picks. And I'll tell you this, Reggie, let's go ahead and sweep. Let's go ahead and sweep this week. Let's go 6-0 and just turn this thing on its heels.
That's word to my guy Alex Fields out there. I saw you in the comments, man. You need that 6-game parlay. This is it. We delivering this week. You got it. You can put that on everything. So trust me.
I talked to Alex today. Yeah.
I got you. That's my Midwest people right there. So trust me. So real quick recap. Saints Texans over 42.5. Lions -3.5 in Tampa. Raiders -3 in New England. Give me your 3 real quick.
Cincinnati -3 at home against Seattle. 49ers -4.5 at Cleveland. And the Dolphins -14 at home against Carolina.
Quick thoughts on, give me 15 to 20 seconds on Sean Payton and removing the egg caught up in between his eyes and on his face.
Yeah, justice in that case was so appropriate. Nobody deserved it like he did. And I saw Aaron Rodgers today, jumped on that pile because he's so tight with Coach Hackett, who's with the Jets now. And, even when Peyton made those comments before the season, and I saw that, I was like, what the hell is going on here? For a head coach to say that, about another head coach that he took over the job from. You know, I wondered if he was like drinking heavily or whatever, because that was just horrible. You know, and he deserves what he got. He deserves what he got.
I don't know. But all I know is that it's safe to say that Sean and Russell couldn't hack it. See what I did there?
Was that a Freud thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Freudian slip, slide,
Yeah.
tumble. All right. That was our show. Exciting week. We're gonna get this DAMW once again. Like I said, Alex, everyone out there, go ahead and lay a little pocket change on these picks right here. I feel good. Raj feels good. Y'all have a wonderful week. Raj, anything else?
Just we got Chris Oliver coming back from Hollywood Sports Casino next
week. Hello, brother Chris. All right, that's week 6. Don't Ask Me Why podcast. Getting you that DAMW. We're out. Peace.
Talk to you next week. Bye, guys.